Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Today is going to be a solo review of the new movie starring Chloe Grace Moretz, Greta. This movie is directed by Neil Jordan, who I am not super familiar with. I actually don't think I've seen any of his movies, but essentially, Greta is a movie about an older woman played by Isabel Huppert, and her and Chloe Grace Moretz form a close relationship that ends up becoming a little too close for Chloe Grace Moretz's comfort, and their relationship kind of spirals into literal insanity after that. Going into the movie, I didn't really know anything about it. Kind of came in with just open expectations, not knowing what to expect, and I have to say I was kind of impressed with how much this movie shocked me, because with these types of movies, you come in, you expect to be shocked in a way that hits all the same beats that all these other types of movies hit, but this movie I think made an effort to distinguish itself within that genre, and I think it did an okay job. I think a lot of movies that try to do this, especially within the horror or thriller genre, it ends up just getting kind of annoying. I can think of Insidious 3, where they would just pace out the jump scares so much because they knew you were going to expect it. There's some of that in here. Greta kind of messes with your brain a little bit to a cheap, annoying extent, instead of taking a more intelligent route, I guess. If you're a fan of these types of movies where it's kind of focusing on normal young people lives, but then it kind of gets a little messed up, I can think of movies like Heathers or maybe Disturbia. I think you'll definitely really enjoy this movie because it takes a lot of the cliches and traditions of those movies and tries to put a new spin on it. I think that for people who are fans of that kind of film or genre, I think you'll definitely find this an interesting watch at the very least, and you'll probably enjoy it a lot. The movie was okay from a person who's not a fan of that kind of thing. It didn't feel too long. It was kind of separated into two acts, so it was well paced. The acting, I guess it leaves a little bit to be desired, but it's not bad. It's just, there's nothing really exceptional or extraordinary in this movie. It's pretty much just basic standard performances that are believable in terms of a Hollywood movie sense. I credit the film's unpredictability in some ways, but me saying that, a lot of you are probably going to go in and say, I expected all this to happen and it happened, come on. Going into this completely blind, though, I have to say it did surprise me at some points, especially towards the end, where the movie took a lot of its biggest leaps. I appreciate how the film didn't try to tie in other emotional factors. For example, Chloe Grace Moretz has this strained relationship with her father, but they don't dive into it too deeply. They just kind of use it as a device to keep the father and Chloe Grace Moretz apart for plot convenience, I guess. Something that did frustrate me a lot was the lack of police support that the characters had in this movie. The police really didn't do shit in this movie when they really should have. I don't think that the writers of the film have any grasp on legal issues or anything like that. Clearly, the woman is stalking people. Clearly, there are multiple people who have died because of her, and she certainly gets really close to these people, so it really confuses me how she gets away with abducting Chloe Grace Moretz for however long she does, and how the police do nothing at all, despite the fact that she's stalking her and she is harassing her. It's just really confusing. I haven't mentioned any spoilers, and I'm not going to for the rest of the review because there are a lot of spoilers, and I think that people who haven't seen this movie yet shouldn't know them because they are an integral part to the movie. There's not really much else to say about this movie. It was a pretty standard theater experience. Nothing really wowed me, but it didn't disappoint me in a horrible way. I think if you're fans of these thriller movies that take something from a mundane situation and put a creepy twist on it, I think you'll like this. But for an average moviegoer who has any grasp of what laws mean, I think you'll be very frustrated with this movie because Pretty much the people in this society are anarchists because there is no law in this movie, and people just get away with whatever the fuck they want in this movie. It's kind of hilarious to some degrees, but I was impressed with some of the kind of fucked up situations in this movie, and there were some jump scares which I didn't expect. They really surprised me and spooked me a bit. Overall, I give it a 5 out of 10. It was just really average, run of the mill, but that's coming from someone who doesn't really care about these movies that much. For people who do, and I know there's a big diehard following that these types of movies had, so if you're one of those people, I definitely recommend you check this out. But if you're not, I think that you could pass on Greta because it's just really average, and it does try to do a few things. I could tell that there's passion behind this project and they put a lot of effort into distinguishing themselves amongst this genre, but I think that they could have done better, and overall, it's just not that rewarding of an experience. All right, later this week we'll be reviewing Captain Marvel for you guys, so you guys can get the scoop a little early, and hopefully you enjoy that. All right, guys, see you on the next one.